So hello guys, and welcome to another video. And 3 months ago, the Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake was announced. And it's kind of hard to believe since it didn't really seem like that long ago. I guess time flies when it's your favorite announcement during the Switch era and you're just really excited about the game to release. And yeah, we probably have a few months more to go until this game releases. Assuming that this releases around April, May, or June, I think that's probably the most likely time slot next year that this game will release in, since it is a remake, and from what we've seen in the trailer, it already looks very polished, and it looks nearly completed from what we've seen, like with the footage and everything. So we'll just have to see, but there still is a little bit of a wait until the Thousand Year Door remake releases. So in this video, I wanted to go through some games you can play while you're waiting for the Thousand Year Door remake, if you're really interested in Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door, or Mario RPGs in general, or kind of want to get into the Mario RPGs or Paper Mario style games before the Thousand Year Door remake releases, so you can play some of the other ones before you play Thousand Year Door. Or if you've played Thousand Year Door before, here are some suggestions for other games that you could play while you're waiting. So without further ado, let's look at some of the options here. So the first games I'm going to discuss are the Paper Mario inspired indie games, and there are two that I definitely recommend. One just released recently, and it's called Board of Bread, and it's a really fun game. It has a really cool art style, obviously inspired by Paper Mario, and a lot of the mechanics and gameplay features are inspired by Paper Mario. Like, you have different partners that basically are kind of with you in battle, and they kind of function very similarly to how they do in Thousand Year Door, since they have their own HP and everything, and then you share FP like Thousand Year Door as well, and each attack has like different action commands involved with them. They're a little different, so it's a nice change of pace from Paper Mario, but it's the same core idea, but it kind of expands upon it in different ways. Like, you have different weapons that you can kind of switch around in your backpack, and you can kind of make room for them by kind of sorting them out in like a little puzzle grid, which is really cool. And then you also have like badge-like equipables as well. And the whole overworld is actually kind of expansive. I mean, it is fairly linear in design, but you still do have like a lot of branching paths and open areas, almost kind of similar to Paper Mario 64 and Origami King in ways. Like, Thousand Year Door tends to be a little more linear, but Board of Bread is a little more open in design, which I appreciate. And there's also a lot of things to find in the overworld, like different items, the currency, and different things like that. And the characters are fun as well. They're not super in-depth, but I do think there is like a lot of fun, silly writing here, which I definitely like, and it's definitely in line with what you'd expect to see from the Mario RPGs and Paper Mario games. And yeah, it's just pretty enjoyable in general. There's even like a live stream system, which is kind of comparable to Thousand Year Door's audience system. You can kind of use it to kind of gain like this game's equivalent to FP. So yeah, it's definitely a nice little cozy Paper Mario style game, and I definitely recommend giving it a shot, especially since there's a demo. And the other one is Bug Fables, and Bug Fables is like, yet again, very similar to the Paper Mario 64 and Thousand Year Door formula. This time you actually have 3 party members, which kind of changes things up a little bit, but it also kind of incorporates a lot of those features that you'd expect to see from the Paper Mario games. And I really like the art style as well. It kind of has some similarities and some differences from Paper Mario and everything. It has a lot of really cool puzzles in the game, kind of in the overworld, and the battle system. Like I said, it's really good, and it's just really fun in general. And I would say, like, in some ways, it kind of, like, does things that even Paper Mario 64 and Thousand Year Door don't even do with their battle systems. So Bug Fables is amazing, and it is definitely kind of the standard, and basically kind of, like, one of the best Paper Mario inspired games, and is definitely worth checking out. I would definitely say it's like one of the best ones out there. Like, both Born of Bread and Bug Fables are great games, and those are definitely two that I definitely recommend, and they're both available on the Switch, as well as other platforms as well. Like, you can get them on Steam or on Xbox, PlayStation, like any of the platforms you can get these games, so they're definitely worth checking out. So next is also some games that are available on the Switch, and these are the other Mario RPGs, or specifically the traditional Mario RPGs that are available on the Switch. So the Super Mario RPG Remake is definitely one that comes to mind, and that released just last month, and it's an absolutely amazing remake. I kind of recommend any Paper Mario fan or Mario & Luigi fan to play this, since it's a very faithful remake of the original game, and the original game was already great. It kind of provided the groundwork of the Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi series, since it has action commands, and like a lot of those funny scenarios and everything, and kind of is a unique take on the Mario world as well, which is another great aspect of it. And the battle system in the remake was definitely an upgrade from the original, since the action commands kind of have more feedback this time, like especially with blocking, and then also when you get a perfect action command, you can do splash damage, you also have a combo gauge, and basically you can do combos, which actually increases the party member stats, but also, like, increases the gauge, allowing you to do triple moves once that gauge fills up. So the battle system has, like, a lot of welcome changes this time. It even has the ability to change out party members, which is something that you can also do in the Paper Mario games. So it's definitely a great game to play, like, if you haven't played any Mario RPGs before, or something that you want to play before getting into the Paper Mario games. So yeah, Mario RPG is definitely something that I recommend, and it's also something that I recommend if you haven't played any RPGs at all. Like, it's definitely a great starting point, since it is fairly easy and fairly accessible, especially with the difficulty options. And it will definitely help you ease into the genre, especially kind of going into Thousand Year Door. Even though Thousand Year Door is also pretty beginner-friendly, it is always nice to play something before, so the Mario RPG Remake is definitely a fun one that I recommend if you're interested in kind of getting into the Mario RPGs if you haven't played them before. And some of the other Mario RPGs available on the Switch are great too, like Paper Mario 64 on Nintendo Switch Online. That's basically the closest thing that you can get to Thousand Year Door on the Switch. It's, well, obviously, the prequel and the game that came before Thousand Year Door, so a lot of the elements are the same, like the battle system is very similar. It is a little more simplistic, but some people do prefer that. And you have, like, the partners that work in a very similar way to Thousand Year Door, minus, like, the HP and the ability to do certain things. It basically work the same way. They have, like, different overworld abilities and things. So while the Mario RPG Remake kind of provided the groundwork for the Paper Mario series in general, Paper Mario 64 built upon that and kind of laid even more groundwork for Thousand Year Door to work with. And Paper Mario 64 is just a great game in general, and it kind of fleshes out the Mushroom Kingdom in a lot of great ways, and is a very whimsical and charming adventure, and is definitely like a game to play like before Thousand Year Door and everything. It kind of like would ease you into the classic Paper Mario formula if you haven't played it before. And yeah, and another one, which is a little different, but is still a great game to play while you're waiting for Thousand Year Door, is Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga on the GBA NSO app. While it is different from Paper Mario in a lot of ways, it also has its similarities, It's also a very fun Mario RPG. Like, there's a lot of wacky and funny scenarios that happen. Very fast-paced in a lot of ways, but you also have like a lot of moments kind of in between that. But it is a very fun Mario RPG, and like it kind of set the standard for the Mario and Luigi series, which is an excellent series alongside Paper Mario. So I definitely recommend Superstar Saga. It's definitely a very fun game. So yeah, there's a lot of Mario RPGs, or at least traditional Mario RPGs on the Switch, that are definitely great to play while you're waiting for Thousand Year Door. Like, there's even some other ones too, like the Mario plus Rabbids games, but I do feel like those are different enough and won't exactly scratch that itch unless you're kind of more focused on like more unique elements or want like something like a wacky and crazy Mario adventure. But yeah, if you want a more traditional RPG experience for Mario before the Thousand Year Door remake, I recommend playing the Mario RPG remake, Paper Mario 64, or Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. So, one final thing I recommend for people waiting for the Thousand Year Door remake is Paper Mario mods. The modding community for the Paper Mario series is amazing, and there's a ton of great mods out there. And for this category, I mostly recommend this for people who've already played Paper Mario games, at least 64, though there is one that I kind of recommend for everyone, and I'll get into that first, and that is Paper Mario 64 TTYD. So this one adds a lot of features from Thousand Year Door in the 64, and is basically a definitive version of Paper Mario 64 in general. Like, it adds some new things, new content, new areas, new things to the battle system, especially since it kind of adds like stylish moves, partner HP, the abilities that the partners have in Thousand Year Door, some badges from Thousand Year Door, like different moves from Thousand Year Door. It like adds a lot of things from Thousand Year Door into 64 and just kind of fleshes out the experience. Like, anything that felt like it was missing from Paper Mario 64 is here in 64 Thousand Year Door. And it has a lot of accessibility options as well, and is open for people first playing through 64. So this is definitely a great way of playing through 64 for the first time if you're able to emulate the game. And another one, kind of going into more of ones that are more recommended for people who've already played the series before, is Paper Mario Black Pit. So Paper Mario Black Pit is really cool. It's kind of like almost like comparable to the Pit of 100 Trials for 64, but is also kind of has like some roguelike elements to it as well, since you kind of go in and out of like the pit area, and you can kind of like expand your character and kind of like get new abilities, badges, characters, different things like that. It's really cool. It's a really cool concept, and I definitely recommend checking it out if you've already played through 64 before. I mean, it can get kind of difficult at times if you're like new to 64 and everything, but it is a very fleshed out experience, and it's a very unique way of playing like Paper Mario 64, because it's almost basically like a separate game here. It's really cool, and it's actually made by the same creator as 64 Thousand Year Door. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you've already played 64. And kind of going into the modern Paper Mario games, so you might be wondering, why am I mentioning the modern games? And that is because there are some mods that make them more like the classics in terms of design and creativity, since there's one called Paper Mario The Origami King Refolded that adds a lot of the things that were missing from Origami King, in terms of like creativity and characters and things, as well as the combat. So there's a lot of NPCs changes here, like there's a lot more unique NPCs, and as well as enemies, there's better enemy variety this time, and Like, it's really cool they're able to actually implement, like, unique moves in, damage outputs in this mod, which is really cool. And there's also, like, a lot of different, like, weapons and things that were added, so the combat is much more in-depth this time with this mod, and it's kind of making it more in line with what you would expect in the older Paper Mario games, while still staying true to the vision of Origami King. So, if you are interested in checking out Origami King, but you are a little concerned about the elements that the game was kind of missing, or are just worried about it being too generic, Origami King Refolded is pretty good. It's still in development, but from what is in there so far, it's still very good and still worth checking out and kind of looking around and everything. And yeah, so another one that is basically complete at this point is Sticker Star Thousand Year Door style. And yeah, you don't have to play this one, it's still Sticker Star, but it does kind of give it a fresh coat of paint by adding new textures and things, new music, and kind of making it look more like the older Paper Mario games. And, I mean, like I said, it still is Sticker Star, so you could totally skip this one if you want, but it is still a fun thing to mess around in, like get a 100% save file for Sticker Star and just kind of go around the worlds, kind of looking at the Thousand Year Door style textures and everything. It's a fun thing to mess around with, even if you don't like Sticker Star. So yeah, you don't have to do this one. This is one that you can definitely skip, but it still is pretty interesting. So, the final one I recommend for people who've already played Thousand Year Door and are still interested in playing through the remake and everything, but just want something to play in the meantime, if you don't want to play through the game again until the remake releases. And that is Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Hero Mode. And there's a demo for this, and, well, while it isn't the full game, it still is a really cool thing to check out, since there is, like, the first chapter of it available, and it's very good. Like, it changes some, like, a lot of the elements in battle, it makes it much more difficult, so it's definitely a challenge for Paper Mario veterans. And there's also a lot of enemy changes as well, like new badges, and also like new designs for the characters too, like Mario and the partners have different designs now, and the areas have like kind of like different theming with them as well, since like the Petal Meadows kind of has like a nighttime theme to it, and it's just really cool. And like I said, it isn't finished, but for what there is so far, it still is worth checking out the demo. Like, it's still really good, and it's just a really cool thing in general. Like, I just really like what they're doing with this, and I'm really looking forward to the full thing eventually. So, yeah. So anyways, those are some games and mods to play while waiting for the Thousand Year Door remake. And there's quite a lot to offer, whether you've never played the Paper Mario series before, or if you've played every Paper Mario game and just want to play through Thousand Year Door again when this remake releases. So I hope you at least played one of these or have found something that looks interesting to you. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.